things you've done for me, and no one can worship you for me. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. You, Lord, you are worthy, and no one can worship you for me. For all the things you've done for me, and no one can worship you for me. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. And I will not be silent. I will always worship you. As long as I am breathing, I will always worship you. And I will not be silent. I will always worship you. Oh, as long as I am breathing, I will always worship you. Oh, here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Would you receive my worship, all of my worship? Right. Did you like that? Right. All right, guys. So yeah, so this is that was beautiful, by the way. Thank you for coming. As you guys know, Mpoomy has been on a break for a while, but she's back. So anyway, let's get right into it. This is the first episode of what we're calling Free to Worship. And yeah, so Free to Worship is myself and Mpoomy. And what we've been doing in little clips and little drips and drabs, we're going to be doing more consistently. Just a platform for us to just worship and just do all of our favorite songs and maybe some original songs. And so going forward, myself and Mpoomy will be called Free to Worship. So if you guys want to cover, don't say, can we please have a Mpoomy and Brenden song? No, say, can we have a Free to Worship song? So yeah, so Mpoomy is my, obviously my partner in this. And yeah, so would you just like to talk about why we chose to do this song as the first song?
Firstly, I'm so excited about Free to Worship. Can I give like a backstory? I remember when we were dating in the beginning, and we were still new in the relationship. Yeah. Can I share the story?
It depends how deep you're going with this.
I won't go too deep. And I think you were still really finding yourself in your music career, and you had a set idea of what you wanted to do, and you were not willing to hear anybody else. And I remember God telling me that you're gonna be in ministry.
Sure.
And
come on, somebody.
And I said it to you. Oh, come on. And I said it to you, and I said, you're going to be in ministry. And I remember how upset you were at me. And you said, you're trying to change me. I don't want to be a gospel star. And I said, no, I didn't say you're going to be a gospel artist. I said, God is calling you to ministry, and ministry is so different for so many people. Doesn't necessarily mean, what you're doing, example for your new single, Journey to Cairo, I think that is ministry. Yeah. Because the gospel is the good news. Yeah. So whatever genre you're in, whether it's house, whatever, you are spreading the gospel. And so I'm so proud of you that you've just allowed God in your journey to Cairo. You've allowed God, you've allowed God so much to use you so much. You've opened up and allowed him to do what he needs to do with you. And there's so many originals that you have that people are yet to hear. And Free to Worship is actually your concept. But we are one. Yeah. We are one. So I'm just hopping on as he's got the vision and I am his perfect helpmate. And that is exactly what I'm here to do with Free to Worship. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I think in the future, we're going to have some guests on. It's it's one of those things where we say, God, do what you need to do. Wherever this leads, go for it.
Yeah. So right now, in terms of the future, anything is possible. Yeah. But like you said, we have written some original songs that we are working on, and we will put them out when the time is right. But for now, we just want to grow our platform, grow this engagement with you guys, and kind of just make worship music fashionable. Yeah. And I think a lot of us, and this is another reason why I chose to do Free to Worship, is that I find that especially in the Christian world, because I'm a Christian and I grew up in the church. My dad's a pastor, if you know my story. But I realized that there's such a divide even in like worship music. Yeah. That there's Christian music and there's gospel music. Yeah. And a lot of the gospel people don't listen to Christian music, and a lot of the Christian people look down upon gospel music. So our goal as well as Free to Worship is to find that bridge. Yeah. And to make sure that that's why, if you guys have been following the channel, I will do some Vernac hymns, Tsonga hymns, Sutu hymns, Mpoomy does Zulu hymns because she's Zulu. My Zulu's a bit, but also, and then kind of do the Western Christian music and kind of bring it together, because at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. It's about the message, and I feel like we lose out on so much of the message of the music because it's not of our culture. Yeah. So Free to Worship is to kind of say worship is one culture. And yes, there's subgenres, and yes, there's different tastes and whatnot and takes upon music, but really the message is the same. Yeah. And if we can create a platform where we take all of that music and we bring it together and we kind of just spread the good news.
Yeah, I think it's so important, and emphasis on the name. I believe it's just such a God-given name, because when you explain to me what exactly you want to do, it didn't sound like this rigid thing that you just want to do this rigid thing, but it sounds like a plethora of ideas, and free. I think we can look at it as express yourself however you are gifted in worshiping God. I was listening to we were listening to an interview, Jerry Lorenzo. Yes, the founder of Fear of God, and how he spoke about God. And then you look at the excellence in his fashion. That's his expression of worship through his clothing, So worship is not limited to a song that is played on certain chords that ends on the 4. but it's honestly your expression of adoration and awe of God. Anyway, you asked me about the song.
Let's talk about the song. I know, guys, we get carried away because we both talk a lot and we're both very passionate. But yeah, let's talk about the song.
I first heard the song last year when I just started my fitness journey. And I was suffering. I don't know if I should use the word suffering, but I was experiencing postpartum depression after giving birth to my daughter. And I felt really out of place and the worst I'd ever felt. A lot was going on that year. And I read a book called The 5 a.m. Club, and I joined the 5 a.m. Club. And in the mornings, I would start my mornings in worship. And somehow my playlist on YouTube landed on the song. And I think Bethel was doing it. Yeah. And I played it. I remember that season of my life. I think every single morning I played it in the car. And then we left it alone. And then today, out of nowhere, it just played. And it just reminded me of how God drew me from a place of not seeing. I always go to the psalmist David, and I think he's one guy who suffered a lot from depression based on his writing. But the way he expressed himself and talked himself out of a state of sadness is really what the song is. It's, I will not be silent. I will worship you. Here's my worship, all of my worship. It's literally, the song is literally saying, God, I have nothing else to offer you. My hope, all I have is worship. My hope is kind of nowhere right now. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I am. All I have is this worship, And this song is just that expression of sometimes we need to sing our way, worship our way, praise our way out of certain things, certain places.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. Yeah, this song, I mean, guys, Mpoomy and I, we listen to so much music, and it's funny, like you say, every time we hear a song, it takes us to a particular moment that we were going through. And I know that it's the same for a lot of people, because every time I read comments, a lot of people will say, this song reminds me of my mother, or there was a time when I got laid off, or blah, blah, blah. And I think it's so important that we don't disconnect from really what the message of songs are, and to relive, to remember what God has done. And I think I'm glad that you did this song, because it reminded me of like when we just had our first baby, and I mean now we've got 2 babies, but you realize how good God has been, and that even when you have nothing and all you have is just your worship to give him, that's all he needs. Yeah, that's literally all God wants from us. And it's not, I think a lot of times we think we need to do so much, we need to have it all together, but God says no. God says, come as you are. I just want your heart. And also I saw the song that we did, Have My Heart, has hit 100K.
Whoa, so you guys are amazing. Cool. That's a special song. That's a this year song. That's a 2020 song.
We'll talk about it. Actually,
I'll share the story on my channel.
I think I want us to do that song again.
Okay. Because it's gonna have I think it's gonna have a complete different. And in fact, I'm getting goosebumps and getting so emotional thinking about what that song did for me. But I'll share that on my channel, and we'll share that when we come back here again. And
guys, but it's a beautiful song. It means a lot to us. Yeah. But yeah, so basically, welcome to Free to Worship, and see you guys in the next episode.